Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms coming to you live from Salt Lake City in Utah tonight. Today we left Moab at 9:23, and 5.5 hours later we arrived in Salt Lake City. So we got all set up and everything else, and it was a really good day of travel. We got up, got pretty organized, got gas, hit the road, had a good trip until we hit. Then we had stopped at Price for lunch, and then after that we had another one of those canyon passes. We were up the mountain, down the other side, and this one we were 7,764 feet, I think it was. I don't remember, but it was high. And down the other side, Sparkles again outperformed, did a beautiful job of everything. After we got through the pass, we came up to a rest area and pulled in there. Lots of RV and truck parking that RVs can use. So there was lots of the bigger parks there for us. Not so many car parks. So it's one of the ones that where the truck parking lanes almost outnumber the number of car parks there. And I've never seen that before. But this was an awesome, it was an awesome rest area. I gotta say, this is one of the best rest areas I have ever seen. It was called Thai Fork, and they had this beautiful building there, and I'll post pictures of it later on. There's this beautiful building there where the toilets were, and they had a little bit of history of the place, some pamphlet, free tourist information, all that sort of stuff. But you go out the back, and it's set up like a remember the train, I'm trying to think, Thomas the Tank Engine, they all had their little garages that they're in, the little station houses that they're in. So it's set up with those little gates around a turntable area where all the tracks go into these little shed things. They actually had an engine there, but in each of the bays they had picnic tables set up. So some were covered, some were not covered. So you walk around through there, they had the train tracks and the circle thing, and I'll post pictures of this later on. And then outside of that, in the grass area, they also had a lot of picnic tables as well, and they had one that was like tucked behind bunches of trees if people wanted privacy. And they had a large off-the-leash dog park there as well for the pets. They didn't want, and they say they've got signs all over the place. Do not allow your pets to use the lawns. Keep your pets off the grass. We have the dog park over here. Take them over here, type of thing. So that was quite cool. It was one of the best rest areas I've ever been in. So if you're heading on the US 6 West, once you get past Price, past the canyon passes and everything there, then you'll find the Thai Forks rest area. If you're heading in the other direction, if you're heading east, then you'll get it just before you get to the canyon pass. But it was a beautiful rest area. It was great. Like I said, we had lunch in Price. We stopped there for a break. We did have a couple of breaks. Let's see, there was that break, that one. There was one before we got to Price. One thing I have found here on this trip so far is I'm getting very dehydrated. I am drinking a lot of water, a lot more than and I normally drink a lot of water anyway. I am drinking way more water than I normally drink, but it's keeping my electrolytes balanced, and I'm finding, because if I don't keep my electrolytes balanced, my attention span starts to wander, which is not good when you're in charge of a vehicle that's 32 feet long. So, right now I've got Gatorade on board because I need to find something else some other electrolyte thing. So I have some questions out with some friends about what I can use in place, but that has been helping a lot. Taking the regular breaks as well. We've been breaking every sort of hour to hour and a half. Lunch, we actually went to McDonald's for lunch. It was the only place that had a place big enough for the RV. We're kind of running out of lunch food. Normally we've been eating in the RV, find a park and somewhere to park, and we eat in the RV, but kind of run out of lunch food. Let's see, then, so we spent probably about half an hour or 45 minutes there for a break there. Then at the rest area, we were there probably about 20 to 30 minutes. And then we did the home stretch into Salt Lake City from there. I think we might have had, no, that was the last break we had. I think we only did the 3. I'm trying to remember now. But, we're only 5.5 hours, so it wasn't too bad. Got into Salt Lake City. Oh my gosh, we got to the 15, going through there, back on regular freeways again, which was kind of nice, make it easier driving. Then we got into Salt Lake City, and there were major roadworks going on in some areas. They said the speed limit through the roadwork areas was down from 70 to 60. I'm taking Sparkles through there at 45. There was one moment I almost lost complete control of Sparkles. It scared the crap out of me. The way the roadworks go, they've got ruts in the roads, there's asphalt poured here, there, and everywhere, but it catches the edge of the tire and forces the vehicle to go in that direction. And at one point, I actually ended up halfway in the other lane next to me. Fortunately, and I am very thankful for this, there were no cars there. It could have been a completely different story if there was. But the roads were, I wasn't even doing 60. I was doing 40. I was doing 45 in a 60 zone. It was horrendous. So I just backed off even further, and just basically coasted somewhere around the 35 to 40 mark till we got to our turnoff. And then we got to the camp, found our site, got checked in, found the campsite very easily. Beautiful park. We're at the Salt Lake City KOA, and KOA stands for, those who don't know, Campgrounds of America. Campgrounds being with a K instead of a C, but that's the way they do it. And right across the road from just across the road from the main gate a little bit is the nearest UTA, which is the tram thingy that goes from the airport all the way down out to somewhere called West Valley, but we only wanted to take it to Temple Square. Mum and Dad thought, since we're going to be in Salt Lake City, they'd like to see the temple. And so we, as soon as we got everything set up, and we got set up pretty well, and one of the things they warned us about when we checked in was to make sure we used a water regulator on our hose, because they have a very high water pressure. Their water pressure here is over 120 psi. I have no idea what that actually means. It's a lot, but I travel with a water regulator on my hose. It was one of the things that I was advised to do as soon as I bought Sparkles, was when you get your water hose, make sure you get a regulator for it. And so I use it every single time. So we got all set up and everything, and then we headed off and headed into town to the to Temple Square to go have a look at the Mormon temple and that's there. Got there and found out there was a tour starting in like 5 minutes, because we said, what places here is open to the public? And they said, you can go anywhere and take whatever photos you like, inside the building, outside the building, it doesn't matter. So we got to the temple thing. We got there, there's a tour starting within 5 minutes. They said, there's going to be a tour starting. If you walk around here to the flagpole, there'll be 2 sisters there to meet you. It turned out one of the sisters there was actually from New Zealand. And she's been there for 9 months. And so her, along with a girl from Italy, took us on the tour. They took us in the tabernacle, explained all about the tabernacle and how it's got that curved roof thing. And we're kind of like, and somebody actually asked, back when they built this building, why did they come up, when everybody's building the regular roofs and that, how did they come up with this curved roofing? And they said that it was something to do with the sound that they wanted people to be able to hear no matter where you were. So you just slightly raise your voice and you're able to be heard within the tabernacle. And the reason the way they came up with the curved design was it follows the inside of your mouth. If you think of the roof of your mouth, that is why the Mormon tabernacle is curved like that. I thought that was so cool. And they had this organ there, and they actually had a guy playing the organ. He was awesome. The sound in there was amazing. And they're talking about how normally when they do the tours, they don't have an organist playing, but they are able to give a demonstration so you can hear all 11,000 pipes. And you only get to see a few of them. And the ones that you do get to see that are gold-coloured are actually made of wood and gold-leaved. But a lot of the pipes, they said, you can't see because they're in behind those main pipes. They're in the walls around, including the wall at the back. Some are in the ceiling. So they've got pipes everywhere. 11,000 pipes on a pipe organ. Go figure. I was like, wow. And so I asked the question, I said, is this where the Mormon Tabernacle Choir performs? They said, yes, they perform every Sunday in here except during summer, because they have so many people coming in summertime wanting to hear the Mormon Tabernacle Choir that they actually move it over to their conference center during the summer months. So that's where you catch them during the summer months. So we learned about how that's used twice a year for the big They have these big gatherings twice a year. We learnt the importance of the family to the Mormons and that sort of thing. When we got off the thing, we walked across from the tram thing, and I was sort of like, oh, I'm recognizing some of these signs around here, because it's from their website, familysearch.org, which is one of the websites I use for my genealogy. And right there was the library. And I was like, oh, I so wanted to go in. They only had the main floor open from 1 to 5 today. And the New Zealand girl who was our tour guide, when I mentioned that to her, she said, oh yes, she says, if you wanted to research New Zealand, Australia, England, Scotland and Ireland, you need to go down to the second level of the basement. So now I know where to go when I come in. I'm going to come back for a week here in Salt Lake City just to spend the time researching in the library. So I now have to go down to the second floor of the basement to get everything from Australia, New Zealand, England, Ireland and Scotland. So that was awesome. Then they took us into wasn't the temple, it was, I can't remember the name of it. They had another building there which kind of looked like a church or a temple, but it wasn't. It's the one that they use for their weekly services. But we found out that on the weekly services they don't listen to any of the leaders, that basically anybody can go up there and talk about whatever topic it is, and you can actually volunteer. And you can start as young as a child all the way through to adulthood. And the girl from New Zealand was telling us that her first time doing her talk, she volunteered when she was 8. And she said, and I can't remember what her talk was about, but she said she got up there and saw everybody sitting there and she just burst into tears. That was her first talk, but she said she's done many since then, and they have different topics that you can talk about, things from life experiences to faith to Jesus Christ, everything. They have a whole bunch of topics, and you choose what topic you're going to talk about, and you volunteer to talk about it, and they schedule you in to talk. So they said, people could learn something from my life experiences and all of this sort of stuff. So it was kind of interesting to learn that after hearing all these rumors about how they operate and things. So getting some of those rumors clarified. Then they took us from there to show us a couple of the monuments that they have out there that are to their ancestors, basically, and the people who came before them to set up the area in Salt Lake City. They took us into the visitor center to show us a scale model of the inside of the actual Mormon temple. We couldn't go in there because you have to go through this cleansing ritual to be able to go in there. Besides being a member of the church, you also have to go through this cleansing ritual. So it was very interesting to learn that and see that, and see the different beliefs that they have and the different ways that you have to go, that you work through these 3 different rooms within the temple, what these other 2 rooms are used for. And then we got to see photographs of the room where the people do the binding ceremony for marriages. So it was a very interesting day, very interesting outing. And then from there we left there, and I took Mum and Dad down to Salt Palace Convention Center, because in front of the Palace Convention Center they have all of these signs which are odds and evens, this or that, all these different signs there in front. Anybody who's been to Salt Lake City know the signs that I'm talking about. So I took a couple of pictures. So we then went across the road so we could take a couple of pictures, because you have to be standing back in order to see one portion of it that's all in red. And then we caught the tram back to the campground and discovered that our neighbor didn't have a water regulator on, and his hose had burst where he had the short piece of hose that was attached to his water filter, and it had burst and it was just spraying water everywhere. So the camp people had come over and turned it off because somebody had told them about it. So of course my mother's there watching him when the guy finally comes back and looking out the window and giving us reports and everything, and it's sort of like, Mum, we're getting dinner. But we had dinner and that, and now we're just having a nice relaxing evening. Tomorrow we are off to Boise, Idaho, to meet up with relatives. My dad has first cousins who live in Boise, and some of their kids and stuff, so we're going to get to meet another side of the family, which is going to be awesome. So that was our trip today. We traveled, how far did we come today? 246 miles, I think it was. So we had a good day today. We had a great day. So thank you all for watching and tuning in. And let's see, Margaret's got another amazing adventure today. Loving your videos, diaries. Helen. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you for watching and tuning in. And Scott, don't you love the road construction in Utah? No, not after today. Absolutely not. It's like a roller coaster, but you don't have to pay for admittance. Yeah, very dangerous roller coaster. It says Seymour. That's it. All the smiley faces and laughing. Yeah, that's the worst roller coaster I've ever been on, if that's the case. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in and watching. Tomorrow we will come to you live from Boise, Idaho. Hope you have a super fantastic sparkling day. We have just over 400 miles to travel tomorrow. So, learning different techniques from different people who are full-time RVers. And when I mentioned I was doing a 400-mile journey, they were like, ugh. So, yeah, learning that's not the ideal, but first time out, going with the flow, having a blast. So that's it. Just something as simple as that, is getting out there and just giving it a go. You don't learn if you don't give it a try. So until tomorrow, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you then.